This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets. Oil prices edged higher on Tuesday as China unexpectedly cut key policy rates for the second time in 3 months to shore up a sputtering economic recovery, but sluggish economic data from the country put a lid on gains. Brent crude futures rose 11 cents, or 0.1%, to trade at $86.32 per barrel at 0414 GMT. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was up 7 cents, also 0.1%, to $82.57 a barrel. Prices turned higher after the People's Bank of China, PBOC, lowered the rate on 401 billion yuan, $55.25 billion, worth of one-year medium-term lending facility, MLF, loans to some financial institutions by 15 basis points to 2.50% from 2.65%.
Oil prices edged higher on Tuesday as China unexpectedly cut key policy rates for the second time in 3 months to shore up a sputtering economic recovery, but sluggish economic data from the country put a lid on gains. Brent crude futures rose 11 cents, or 0.1%, to trade at $86.32 per barrel at 0414 GMT. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was up 7 cents, also 0.1%, to $82.57 a barrel. Prices turned higher after the People's Bank of China, PBOC, lowered the rate on 401 billion yuan, $55.25 billion, worth of one-year medium-term lending facility, MLF, loans to some financial institutions by 15 basis points to 2.50% from 2.65%.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
China's oil refinery throughput in July rose 17.4% from a year earlier, data showed on Tuesday, as refiners kept output elevated to meet demand for domestic summer travel and to cash in on high regional profit margins by exporting fuel. Total refinery throughput in the world's second-largest oil consumer was 63.13 million metric tons last month. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, showed. July's production was the equivalent of 14.87 million barrels per day, BPD, up from a low base of 12.5 million barrels of oil per day a year earlier when refiners cut back runs as the country faced extensive COVID-19 lockdowns.
India and the United Arab Emirates have started settling bilateral trade in their local currencies, with India's top refiner making payment in rupees for purchase of 1 million barrels of oil from the Middle Eastern nation, the Indian government said on Monday. Indian Oil Corp made payment to Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, ADNOC, according to a statement issued by Indian Embassy in UAE. The transaction comes after one involving the sale of 25 kilograms gold from a UAE gold exporter to a buyer in India at about 128.4 million rupees, $1.54 million.
Next, we have the top news in metal markets.
China's crude steel output in July eased 0.34% from a month ago, the Statistics Bureau said on Tuesday, because of production restrictions in Tangshan City in northern China and Sichuan province in the southwest. The world's largest steel producer manufactured 90.8 million metric tons of the ferrous metal last month, down from 91.11 million tons in June but up 11.5% from the same month in 2022, when steel mills cut production amid shrinking margins as property sector woes stifled demand. Average daily steel output in July came in at about 2.93 million tons, down 3.6% from 3.04 million tons in June but up from 2.63 million tons in July 2022, according to Reuters calculations based on NBS data.
Surging supplies of cobalt from Indonesia and Africa are forecast to outpace demand from electric vehicles, generating large surpluses over the next couple of years, which will keep prices of the metal under pressure. Throwing the spotlight on the deteriorating outlook was London-listed miner Glencore, which last week said it would consider adding to its cobalt stockpiles and cut production to support cobalt prices. Global cobalt supplies last year are estimated at nearly 190,000 metric tons, with the surplus at around 10,000 tons. We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector. India's palm oil imports in July jumped 59% from the previous month to 1.08 million metric tons, the highest in 7 months, as refiners took advantage of lower prices to increase purchases, a trade body said on Monday. Higher imports by India, the world's biggest buyer of vegetable oils, would help top producers Malaysia and Indonesia bring down stocks and support Malaysian prices. Imports of soy oil fell by around 22% to 342,270 tons, and those of sunflower oil were up 71% at 327,259 tons, the Mumbai-based Solvent Extractors Association of India, (SEA), said in a statement.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.